Hey, we're here with Christian and Peter from One Eskimo. Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Thanks for having us.
You're from London, and yet you sound nothing like what we think would come out of London, probably. It's a stripped-down sound, but on the record there's a lot of overdubs and stuff, which I think are really cool. But tell us a bit about the sound, Christian.
Well, I think there's four of us in the band, and our influences definitely come from kind of all over the place, to the point where I think we cover a lot of ground, you know. But in the sound of us, I mean, you say it doesn't sound like a British band. I think it's just because we've kind of taken them sounds we like and them influences, and then we've kind of developed One Eskimo, you know. I mean, the core of the set, we recorded the album as a four-piece, all kind of one-take recordings, really. Yeah. And then, like you said, all these overdubs. We just spent a long time just trying to add a lot of atmospherics and ambience into what we'd already created, you know. So I think that kind of just took it down a bit of a different road there, you know.
And in live, like we can play stripped down, still in the acoustic way that we initially worked with the songs. But when we play live, we try and bring those ambient elements and a lot of those things in with Adam on percussion, who doesn't really play a traditional drum kit. He has like a lot of samples and things that are one hits that he triggers constantly throughout the song. So you'll hear, for example, in Candy, you'll hear the Candy Staten sample in the chorus coming through that Christian sings with, and so when we play live, it's we try and incorporate those elements as well.
I mean, we try and fit everything in from the recording of the album, so you can hear the album, but it's just a much bigger, fuller sound on the set. You know, we try and make as much noise for a four-piece band as we can.
Right, and it's certainly sampling and all, bringing in all those elements certainly helps, right? Even the trumpet filling in some of the sound. Even though it's on the record, but it fills in the sound so that
it's so nice live as well. You know,
it
just makes a big difference. It just feels like a nice, warm, full sound on stage. You know, it makes a big difference.
The other thing that's interesting about your sound is that, well, not your sound, but your name is One Eskimo. And to my recollection, there aren't a lot of Eskimos in England.
No.
You have to rely on your Commonwealth brothers and sisters here in Canada. How'd you come up with the name for the band?
Well, it's I think, like I said before, we try and put the tracks from developing these songs have so many parts in them. You know, some of the songs we've got kind of like 100 tracks running through them, but we don't kind of push them really up front in the mix. We really try and keep the simplicity in there, so you can hear everything that's going on. And I think while we were doing that, we were trying to develop a name and this whole kind of visual element that kind of really went with the music, rather than just trying to look for what was a cool name. We really wanted to find something that just kind of matched the music, you know. And I think it was the simplicity in the sound and the whole kind of idea of a snowscape and just kind of the simplicity of just snowscape and snow, and it just really felt like it made sense with the sound. And then that turned into Eskimo, and then that turned into One Eskimo.
The animation that goes along with the record that people can check out at your website, was that after the recordings were done?
Yeah, that was we'd written. I mean, we're a band first and foremost. We all we all write music first, and that was just like I said, it was, you know, we got to a point where we'd developed the album, we'd finished doing these recordings, and then you know, rather than coming up with a pop video, we just felt like we wanted to do something that made sense with the song, and just do something a little bit more kind of magical, really. And then we did this one animation, and we got a lot of we won an award for it, and it just opened a few doors for us, really. And then we managed to get our whole album animated. So it was just a nice little bit of fun and a nice kind of project to do along the side, really.
We try and incorporate that live as well, where we can, just to kind of create the whole kind of sound of the album has that kind of idea. And I think
Christian puts on an Eskimo.
Not quite that far, but we have, you know, if we have a place where we can run a projector screen, you know, we'll run that along with it. And it's nice because when people are watching us live, there's kind of a lot happening on stage with what we're all doing and triggering stuff and playing. But then you kind of see people looking past you and watching a screen and seeing the animated story happening, and it's a nice kind of it's a nice thing to have, because you're creating a bit more than just guys playing on a stage kind of thing. You know, and that's kind of what we've always been conscious
I think
of doing.
that the main thing of the sound, the lyrics and everything is to try and kind of get people to kind of transport away from what they're kind of doing day to day and kind of fall into this dream world, you know. And if you're playing at a bar gig, and you've got all these people that, you know, we've done plenty of them, all of us in the past, and it's so hard to get a crowd to pay attention if there's a bar and you're basically singing to a talking audience. But it feels like you know, you'll look out at these audiences and then everyone's just kind of staring up, quite mesmerised of what's going on stage, and that's great for us because it feels like we're achieving exactly what we tried to set out to achieve from the start. You know,
the record's been out for just over a year, I think.
September last year.
September.
Yeah.
And you've been touring extensively across North America.
Yeah.
What's the reaction been like? Do you find that it's growing as
it's
time?
been, yeah, it's just growing and growing. It's so strange that we brought our album out in September and we brought the single out maybe a month before that, and our first single is still building at radio. You know, we're writing new songs, we're ready to kind of move on to the next single, but we're getting so much support from our first single to the point where it just feels like that keeps on escalating. So it feels great. You know, it feels so good to turn up in little towns around America and to start having your own audience there and people that know your whole, you know, the album rather than just knowing this song that's just managed to get on radio. I mean, it feels like we've got some really nice support.
I mean, and we've had some really interesting tours. I mean, we've been out here probably for the last year. Well, yeah, pretty much at our anniversary now, isn't it? But we kind of came out and we opened for Tori Amos, was our kind of first American tour, and that was an amazing experience. And when you're opening for someone, you never know how their crowd's going to take you, or they might stay in the bar, you know, they might come and check you out. We had an amazing response, and that whole experience was really great. Bearing in mind, we didn't even have, our album wasn't even out then.
We went with the record label.
We had nothing. It was just a really nice situation where people were starting to, you know, go, oh, I'm getting this now. We're trying to get an album. We didn't even have any albums to give them, and it was like we kind of had that kind of experience, and then slowly from there we've kind of we kind of did some of our own shows and some radio stuff, and then opened for a guy called Bob Schneider, and then early this year, which was great, we opened for Gomez, and now we're opening with Michael Franti and Spearhead, and they're all quite different bands, and in a weird way, but very, very much they have fans that are music lovers, and we've been fortunate to play to those crowds, and they've kind of been, you know, the people that are into us have been really supportive, so it's been nice.
It's been right across the board, all the people that we play, and it's really nice to win over audiences that you kind of feel, you know, this audience is here to see Tori Amos and that's it. You know, people are online saying we just want to see 5-6 hours of Tori Amos. You know, right. But when you know, but we're getting some really nice standing ovations in that audience, and like you said, Gomez and Bob Schneider and Tricky we did some dates with and. God, who else? Paolo Nutini. So it was right across the board. We've done the show, and it just feels really nice to get that support. You know?
Now that I think about it, Gomez makes a lot of sense because they're also a very atypical English band,
right?
And that's why.
I'd say probably Gomez made the most sense out of all the tours we did. But but I think it's nice to get into them audiences where you feel are going to be difficult because. And then when you get that support from them audiences, it's just, you know, it makes it's a good thing, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So you're touring now, and I heard that you guys were discussing some festival dates that you're doing. And is the plan to continue touring this record, and then when does a new record drop?
Well, like I said, we're always kind of writing songs, and it's really nice being on the bus, and everyone's kind of found a bit of everyone's in a bit of a groove at the moment. It feels like we're quite confidently moving forward and throwing ideas up in the air and kind of expanding on sounds, and I think everyone's just getting a lot of kind of confidence really, but. I guess we'll have to kind of promote another single here before we move on to that, because it'd be nice to get people to hear the whole album. I mean, Candy's one representation of what the whole sound of the album is, you know, and it's nice to kind of really get out a bit more of a kind of full sound of what the album's about, I think, before we kind of move on. But that just gives us time to write the songs, get them done, you know, finish them off properly, and then hopefully in the new year we'll start looking at finishing off the second album.
Is there any rest for a young band that's trying to make it in North America?
There is.
Depends how you define rest, I think. It's like, but you know, it's great to be wanted. So and it's such a big place that, you know, we're fortunate at the moment we've got a bus that we can sleep in. But up until this point, we've been driving a 15-passenger van everywhere, you know, and that's literally no sleep because, you know, you get from. You know, because it's great if you want to, you know, if a radio station, you know, wants to have you in, it's a great thing. So we'll make it. You know, if you've just driven from a show 500 miles away the night before, you know. But
this is the thing. You drive the whole of England in the time that we're doing pretty much every day. We're doing drives to the next radio station. So to fit that in with, you know, yeah, I mean it's really busy. But we've got to see so much for it, you know, and we've had, you know, we're having a good time for it. I mean it's definitely busy. I think, you know, but it's what we all want to do, so we you know we can't complain about it.
Nobody wants to kill each other yet.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
that goes in waves.
Do you know? I think we've broken through the worst part of that. But it becomes like a family. You know, everyone's got the things that the next person has to deal with, you know, and it's got to the point where everyone's worked that out, you know, and it just works well on the bus. It works well on stage, and yeah, it just works well on stage and off stage, really.
Well, continued success, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That is the record, and we'll see you real soon.
Thank you very much for having us.